So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Great. Okay, so Nitesh, you can let me know when we're all here and we can get started.
Yeah, hi, Venerable. It's 4 o'clock, so we can get started. We have about 17
All right.
people. Yeah, I think it's we're right on time. I've started the
Okay.
recording, so we're good. That's all.
Okay, terrific. All right, so hello and everyone to this brand new course, Meditation 101, being presented by Choe Khor Sum Ling, which is the FPMT Center in Bangalore, India. So my name is Tenzin Namjong, and I am seeing a few familiar faces and names, but most of you I'm meeting for the first time. So welcome. And we're going to be following the standard program of Meditation 101, which is actually a course that has been designed by the FPMT, the Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition. And so there is a course syllabus that I will be following. So we have the and the first thing is introductions. I'm being told to give an introduction of those of you who don't know. Yeah, my name is. I was originally.
Sorry, the voice is breaking.
Yeah, Venerable, your voice is
the
breaking.
U.S. Actually from Hawaii. I see. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So maybe times my internet connection will that. So that it does cut out. Please, and I'll I just from and was doing that mostly for stress relief. Through getting into yoga, I then got into meditation, and then in my sort of early adult life, well, not that early, I guess, but I left the work I had and came out to Asia to travel. And as I was traveling through Asia, I was exploring the different traditions. I spent time in a Zen monastery in Japan. I spent time at a monastery in Thailand, at an ashram in India. And then I first got my first taste of the Tibetan Buddhist tradition at Root Institute in Bodh Gaya, which is where I met Kirsten, I see in the Zoom here. And I did a 1 month Vipassana retreat with Venerable Antonio to Dharamsala and met His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Well, not like really meeting him, but attended some teachings with him. And from then on, I got more and more interested in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And for the past 14 years, I have been studying in Sarajay Monastic University, which is in South India, close to Mysore. So some of you will have heard of Sarajay. But this year has been quite extraordinary for many of us. And I've actually, I came to Nepal. I came to Nepal in February, or yeah, end of February, beginning of March, thinking I'd be here for about a month. And I've ended up being here ever since. So it seems like I am going to go back to India quite soon, or at the very least, I'll have to leave Nepal because my visa is expiring on the 15th of December. So but there are no flights from Nepal to India, so I'm trying to, navigate all of that. Anyway, so and I guess for the past, how many years has it been? Maybe 8 years or so. I have been helping out at the Choe Khor Sum Ling in Bangalore, first leading meditations, and then gradually teaching classes about the Dharma. So particularly in this year, where we've seen just an amazing amount of suffering in the world, we have been trying to help people, not only in Bangalore, but all over the world, sort of build the inner kind of tools to equip oneself to deal with all these events that are going on in the external world. And I know, just speaking very personally and frankly, if you can imagine, these past 8 months, there's been a lot of uncertainty and not knowing when I'll be able to go home, not knowing where my next move will be, and basically being on the road. And so I have had, bouts of a kind of level of anxiety, and this I've tried to use to, get back into my own meditation practice to help deal with these events. And so now part of the impetus behind this course is, I think some of you joined the 15-day meditation challenge that Choe Khor Sum Ling put on a few weeks ago. So that was kind of designed to just get people starting to meditate. And now this is going to be hopefully the next step in your journey of meditation. So welcome everyone. It says here in the course sort of outline that students are asked to introduce themselves and share why they're interested to learn meditation. So with about 20 of you or more by now, I'm not sure we'll have time for everyone, but if a few of you want to just share with the group, then let's open it up. You're all shy.
Hi, I became a Buddhist in Ulaanbaatar in January 2014 when I came across this course, the last day of this course, when it said establishing your daily practice. And so I thought I should do the rest of the course. I visited the center in Bangalore and Dharamsala many times. And so, so I'm really looking forward to doing the rest of the course. But it's too late for me because I'm already a Buddhist, but I'm very excited.
Great. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Bringy,
yes. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody. Nice to be on the course with you. I'm trying to get back into meditation, having attended the 10-day course at Tushita some years ago. And so I hope this course will actually help me to get back into regular meditation. Thank you.
Namaste. Shall I say something?
Please.
I'm Varsha, and I've been doing courses on and off, I think, for a long time. I've done Vipassana. I've done courses with different teachers, and I attend Kabir Saxena, Venerable Kabir Saxena ji's classes right now. And I'm always excited to do more. So, every bit one does more of, it's more consolidating, and it's just better. The more, the better in this case.
Great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, Christine, I saw you raise your hand. Yeah. I think you need to unmute yourself. Oh. Huh, I still can't hear you. Okay, well, I'm sure it was a very illuminating motivation for learning.
Hi,
Okay.
can I?
Yes,
Yeah.
please, yeah.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Olena, and I've been meditating. Hi, I've been meditating like for 3 years something, but not constant, like really every day. But and there were some days ago I've been sitting meditating, and the thought came to my mind. Like I should find the teacher because I start to have questions about. I want to go forward, but alone I cannot do it. And just in the evening, there was a shared information about this course, so I could not attend.
Okay.
That's it.
Great, well, welcome.
Thank you.
Balachandra, yes, hi.
Yeah, hi. This is Baba. A couple of years ago, I attended a few sessions, meditation sessions at CKSL. And recently, I did the 15 days challenge. And I like the framework, and I found it very beneficial. So this kind of follow-up to learn more on meditation.
Terrific. Welcome. Okay, anyone else?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Chanchala?
I'm right. I'm Chantala, and I'm a yoga practitioner, also a yoga teacher. I have been, learning and practicing meditation for a while, and I'm really looking forward to the Buddhist way of meditating. This is the first time that I will be doing it, and very excited to learn.
Okay, great. Thank you for coming. Okay. Well, we will have other opportunities for feedback throughout these next 5 weeks. So if you're still warming up, then you'll have other opportunities to share with the group. So yeah, why don't we just leave it at that for now? And we can start with our first meditation exercise. So learning by doing is the name of the game in this course here. So we're going to be introducing two types of meditation here. So later we're going to get into the posture in more in depth. But just for now, just get into a kind of comfortable meditation posture. If you're already experienced meditating, then you can get into, whatever that means for you. But if you're a complete beginner, then just sort of sit comfortably. And, the most important thing is to, not be slouched over. So just sort of sit upright. If you're in a chair, that's okay. If you're sitting on a cushion on the floor, that's okay. If you're sitting on your bed, that's okay. Okay. And for this meditation, we can also, just close our eyes, and we are going to do a scanning the body meditation. So first, let's just bring our attention to the present moment. And we do this by focusing on our breath. So here we just breathe naturally and try to feel the sensations in your body as you breathe in and out. So whether it is the rising and falling of the abdomen, the chest expanding or contracting, maybe some of you feel your shoulders lifting up and then sinking down. Maybe you can feel the air pass through the nostrils. And then at the beginning of every time we meditate, we should try to generate a positive motivation. So we'll get into this more later, but for now, just think that the purpose of our meditation, the purpose of us participating in this course, not only is just for ourselves, but rather we're trying to develop our inner qualities of kindness and wisdom, concentration. So, of course, we can bring more peace to ourselves, but also that we can be of more benefit to others. And now we'll begin with scanning the body. So here we'll start with the lowermost part of our body. So try to really feel where your body is coming into contact with whatever is supporting you. So if you're sitting on a cushion, feel the parts of your body that are touching the cushion. If you're sitting on a chair, you can feel your feet on the floor. Really feel the weight of your body, the pressure at those points. And notice how your mind, the character of your mind that is bearing witness to those sensations. Now let's gradually move up. So moving up through the legs. And here, just paying attention, laying bare witness to the physical sensations, the tactile sensations. So there might be areas of tingling, there might be areas of tension, there might be areas of heat or coolness. So whatever there is, just lay bare witness to them, trying not to have aversion to the pleasant, aversion to the unpleasant, nor clinging to the pleasant. And if you do notice some pockets of tension, And then you can allow yourself to relax those areas. Now continuing up through the hips. And then try to feel the hands that are in your lap. Going up now through your seat into your belly, your waist, your torso. Here again, connecting with the sensations in your torso as you breathe in and out. Now coming up through your arms to your shoulders. Then up through your neck and jawline. Again, trying to pay attention if there's any areas of tension. Many of us hold tension in the shoulders. And then up through the face, the facial muscles also can hold some tension. We can be slightly flexing our facial muscles. So if we notice that, we can just relax, soften those muscles. And then finally, all the way to the crown of the head. And try to feel what kind of sensations are there at the very tip of the crown of the head. And maybe you can, if you remember how the mind was when we were focusing on the very bottom part of our bodies, maybe you can notice a difference in the quality of the character of the mind, depending on where the mind is focusing. And now let's continue. We'll just do the scan in reverse now, starting from the head all the way down to the lowest part of our body. So just do it in the reverse order, going down through the face, neck and shoulders, arms, torso, legs, all the way to the toes. So go at your own pace. Just noticing whatever sensations are there. And accepting whatever is in the reality of the present moment. Not trying to change, just witnessing the present. Okay, so now you should have scanned all the way back to the bottom. So usually we start off our meditation session with at least some centering practice like this, bring our concentration to the sensations in the body, because, you know, as we go through life, we're constantly thinking about the future or the past, but all of these sensations that we're feeling are only in the present moment. So as we connect with the present, we connect with the present by connecting with these sensations, which are only to be found in the present. And then another sort of centering technique that we use at the beginning, which we'll now continue with, is just a very simple exercise of counting the breaths. So again, we focus our attention on the breathing. And here again, just as we did at the beginning, just feel the sensations as we breathe in and out. So wherever is most prevalent for you, be it the rising and falling of the abdomen, be it the chest expanding and contracting, be it the sensation of the breath passing over the skin in the nostril area. And now for beginners, it's helpful to give our mind a little task as we focus on the breath. So here we'll count our breaths. So as we inhale, just do that naturally. And then exhale naturally. And at the very end of the exhalation, count 1. Inhale, exhale, count 2, and so forth. And then when we reach 10, we can start over again at 1. If our mind gets distracted while we are trying to do this and we lose count, then no problem. Just start over again, the counting at 1. And it's important not to sort of get discouraged or beat ourselves up. So let's just try this for a few more minutes. Okay, so gently come out of the meditation. Okay, so maybe just by show of hands, is there anyone who is totally new to meditation? Okay, so if you have meditated at all in the past, oh, there's probably a couple. Okay, but in any case, the what we just did is pretty standard across basically any meditation tradition. These are very basic standard ones. And if you follow the 15-day meditation challenge, I always start off my sessions with some element of both of these. So here, my teacher's guide is now asking the students to share their experiences of this meditation that we did at the beginning. So if you have any observations, maybe we can hear from the new people. Is that Mahesh? Did I see that you raised your hand for the new people? So maybe if this is you're more on the beginning side, you can share. How was it?
It was good, but I think for some reason I was also a bit lazy. So I could see myself like sort of drifting away to sleep as opposed to, and then it took me a while to come back and count the breaths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how the first the first step was for me.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else want to share their experiences?
Yeah, hi, this is Vidya. For me, the counting was fairly, I won't say it easier, was more comfortable compared to the sensing part. Yeah, because as it went up in the first step, from bottom to top, I kind of lost it in the center somewhere, as I went up, literally, I got confused what sensation means. But counting was fairly easier compared to the earlier one.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. People are still shy. It's all right. So yeah, I just wanted to maybe emphasize at this point, yeah, different things are going to come up in our meditation practice, especially if we practice over a long period of time, which is actually the goal. That sometimes we're going to have various experiences come up. Sometimes we'll feel very tired. Sometimes our mind will be very agitated and can't concentrate. Sometimes our we won't be able to focus on what we should be doing, and if we're trying to do scanning the body, we'll sort of just lose our body completely, and So all of these kind of experiences, they happen. So the point which I try to emphasize over and over is, for us beginners, the most important thing is to get into a daily meditation practice. And we sort of shouldn't be judging ourselves like, oh, I was so perfectly concentrated today, what a great session. And then the next day our mind is wandering all over the place, and then we think, oh, it's such a bad session. But rather to we focus on actually quantity first, and try to get into a daily practice and just do it every day, whether our minds are focused, whether we have blissful experiences, whether we have all sorts of negative emotions come up while we meditate. The point is, with any kind of habit that we're trying to form, we just need to build up the repetitions, build up the quantity. And if you know a little bit about statistics, right, our friend, the bell curve, in any sort of thing that we do so much, in any distribution of a lot, then there's going to be, if we do 1,000 meditation sessions, then there's going to be some really good ones. There's going to be some really bad ones. And then the most will sort of be in the middle, if you know the bell curve. So the point is, right now, we're just trying to build the repetitions and get some momentum behind our practice. And then after we've been doing this for several months, then we can kind of try to look at general patterns. And if, for example, the sort of sluggish feeling is coming up again and again, then we can identify that as something to tweak. If we notice that our minds are getting very agitated and we can't concentrate very well, then we can also tweak that. So you understand? Don't be discouraged at the obstacles that might happen. And also, if we find ourselves having very blissful experiences, then also don't get attached to that, because then we can start to think that, let's just say you might have very good karmic imprints from a past life, and then your first month of meditating, it's so blissful, and then second month the bliss is gone, and then you get very discouraged, and then you somehow think that, oh, meditation isn't working for me anymore, and you give up the practice. So we have to kind of have a very long-term perspective for our meditation. In general, the path to enlightenment and liberation is likely going to take many lifetimes. So stay the course, and don't sort of get too short-term focused that, oh, my meditation session today was so great, and get attached to those experiences. Okay? All right. So now I am to give a lecture. I usually, I kind of have my own sort of plan about what I want to talk about. But now, since we're doing this kind of standard course, I'm trying to stick to the syllabus they provided. So now I'll just say some words about meditation and sort of what it is, what we're trying to do, like this. So I think those of you who have attended some of my lectures before, I apologize for the repetition, but some of these things are good to hear over and over. And so, but before we start to talk about meditation, then I always like to plagiarize His Holiness the Dalai Lama when he starts whatever kind of course he's giving. before we even talk about meditation, we first have to talk about our human condition, right? And so I think the very starting point of Buddhism and actually life is a fundamental sort of observation that all of us want to be happy and we don't want suffering, right? And, if we look into our lives, if we sort of recall everything that we've done from the time we got out of our mother's womb, then, oops, it's my meditation timer. Okay. When we got out of our mother's wombs and, cried because we wanted milk, we wanted our diaper changed, we wanted, warmth, we wanted our mommy, and then even going into school, whether we were very diligent and, studied, or if we just, played with our friends or played video games, then we wanted happiness. We didn't want to suffer. And then even going into our adult lives, working so hard at our jobs, trying to advance in our careers, trying to get into relationships, either with friends, family, romantic ones, this sort of fundamental drive for happiness and has been really the guiding force of our lives. And not only that, even looking at the animal kingdom, this observation extends to all sentient beings. Even the fly will fly away if it sees our hand try to go to it, because it doesn't want the suffering of being swatted, right? So now this, I think, is very important to always keep in mind, because now when we start to think about Dharma or meditation, see, the next sort of observation that we have is, well, if we look quite honestly before we get involved with Dharma or Buddhism or meditation, then most of the activities that we engaged in to try to find happiness has been focused on the external world, so trying to accumulate more money, more power, more friends, more influence, trying to get better things, more comfortable surroundings, nice shiny objects, whatever you want to call it. This has been our sort of our pre-Dharma strategy. And when you look in the world, many people who've never met Dharma and don't really think about the sort of bigger picture in life, they're still on this, they call it the hedonic treadmill, right? So, hedonic, trying to get, sense pleasures and these kinds of things. So now, one thing that is very important to state at the beginning, even the Buddha, even the Dalai Lama, and of course myself as well, it's not that these external circumstances don't matter. And certainly, given a choice, I would rather, have sufficient food, good tasting food, and, comfortable surroundings. It's getting cold here in Nepal, so I definitely, I borrowed some warm blankets and shawls so I could, remain comfortable. So it's not that our external environment, doesn't have an impact on our well-being. That would be actually quite foolish to assert. But the point is, and I think most of us, the mere fact that you've come to this course, there's a sort of recognition that these external circumstances alone aren't sufficient to bring the sort of lasting peace and well-being that we so desperately are looking for, right? And so a bit of evidence, if you need any, right? When we just look in the world, the very people that we hold up to be like gods, right, are, you know, celebrities who are, you know, rich, who are powerful, who are famous, you know, they are sort of, you know, held up as the paragon and idolized by a large portion of society. But when we look, then still in that segment of the population, you know, there's still so many problems. We hear about celebrities having, you know, drug abuse and addiction problems. We hear about, you know, many celebrities committing suicide. And at least amongst Hollywood celebrities, you know, divorce is so rampant that, you know, most of these high-profile relationships, they tend to end even after a few years. And you know, I'm not making light of this, but just to show that this is a symptom of a very deep underlying dissatisfaction that still is plaguing those that we hold up to be the so-called, you know, like most fortunate, most amazing people in the world, right? So when we look on the sort of other side of it, right? There's a very famous saying by the great Indian master Shantideva, where he says, you know, where could we find enough leather to cover the entire earth? But if we wear sandals, it serves the same purpose. Similarly, how could we subdue all of the unruly sentient beings in the world, you know, the misbehaving people and so forth? But if we subdue our own minds, then it serves the same purpose. Do you understand? So these external conditions we find ourselves in, we actually have very little control, right? But with our minds, then, you know, we can, to a greater extent, and as we get more familiar and accustomed to our practice, we'll have more and more of a ability to be able to maintain a peaceful, centered, and calm state of mind, regardless of our external conditions. You understand? So because of this fact, then you see in Buddhism that there's a strong emphasis then on the mind. You know, perhaps the most famous quotation from the Dhammapada is, you know, to not commit a single negativity, to accumulate a host of virtue, to thoroughly subdue one's own mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. So that third line, to thoroughly subdue one's own mind, this is the teaching of the Buddha. You know, all of the Buddhist teachings are just showing various methods by which we can, you know, subdue the mind, right? And subduing the mind, you know, is entailing the negative emotions, you know, these afflictions that are coming up. Right now, they come up with very little provocation. Sorry, I'm speaking for myself, but, you know, with a very little kind of trigger, you know, we can get very upset. Or with, you know, the other afflictions, such as, you know, attachment or jealousy, of course, anger, these can come up with very little provocation. And, you know, once they arise, you know, they can just ruin our entire day. I don't know how many of you had this, but, you know, someone might say something a little bit that hurts us a bit. And then, you know, hours later, we're thinking like, oh man, I can't believe the person said that to me. You know what I mean? So it then just kind of bleeds into the rest of our day, and then affects our, you know, experience, affects our life on a very, you know, deep level. So here, since the Dharma basically is these various methods by which we can, you know, subdue our minds, so that these negative emotions that, you know, right now come up so easily for us, what we're trying to do then is apply antidotes whereby they get gradually softer, less powerful. And on the other hand, the positive emotions like love, tolerance, compassion, wisdom, we try to, you know, cultivate and increase them. So we are creatures of habit, and the mind also is basically a creature of habit. So then, as you know, building a habit takes a long period of time. So now when we talk about meditation, the word for meditation in Tibetan is gom, and gom actually has that connotation of habituation, familiarization. You understand? So given that the Buddha Dharma is about subduing the mind, the sort of technology that we use for this is meditation, right? And through our practice of meditation, we are sort of building up these habits. We're building up positive habits, and we're also unwinding and, you know, gradually, hopefully soon, but gradually abandoning all of these negative habits of mind. You understand? Okay, so that's the so-called, you know, big picture. Why do we meditate? Well, it's because we're trying to, you know, habituate our minds. And here, the habituation that needs to happen is habituation to virtuous objects, right? So, yeah, I think, you know, that example I was saying before, when someone says something a bit critical to us, maybe they insult us, especially if they insult us in front of other people, right? Then we tend to think about it. It plays over and over in our head. And, you know, even hours later, days later, sometimes years later, you know, we can think, oh man, that person said this to me, then they said that to me, then they said this, and this, you know. So that process right there actually is a type of meditation, believe it or not, right? We are habituating our minds to a certain way of thinking, right? And we come up with the conclusion that, you know, this person, they said this, they said that, they did this, therefore they're a bad person. And then we get, you know, feelings of animosity toward them. So that, in a very real way, is a meditation on animosity or anger. Do you understand? So now we're trying to, and the more we do that, the more we're habituating ourselves to be to react in that way in the future. You know, some people we say, oh, that person has a very short fuse. You know, we talk about that, right? They're short-tempered. Well, why is that? Well, they've habituated themselves to you know, reacting in that way at a very slight provocation. So the thing with habits, positive or negative, is the more you do something, the easier it is to do it again in the future, right? So most of us, you know, well, I don't want to speak for you, I'll say for me, right? Then we have such habituation to kind of negative ways of thinking that is what we find very, you know, easy to come up. at a very slight provocation, it's very easy to become, hurt or even angry, irritated. But now when we start to generate a thought of, really unbiased compassion or love, we have to go through all this, 7-point cause and effect instructions, like all these various methods to try to generate a virtuous thought. And we find it very difficult. So that's just because of our previous level of habituation to virtue and non-virtue. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, so I see, yeah, okay, you can ask a question. Yeah, I will open it up to questions more later, but yeah, you can ask. If you wish, you can ask now. It's okay.
Okay, thank you. So how do you empty your mind? I have all this stuff going round and round and round. So
okay,
that's not necessarily negative or positive, it's just busyness.
Sure. Okay, so yeah, okay. So that is what we've talked about so far. The human condition. We all want happiness. We don't want suffering. And then we have these two sort of, strategies to try to gain happiness and well-being and peace. We have one that's primarily focused with the external world, and the other, the Dharma way, focused on the sort of internal world. And then we have as I call it, the technology to bring about this inner transformation, which is the meditation. Okay, so I will answer your question, but I wanted to just delve a bit more into the different types of meditation. So now, when we talk about meditation, then of course there are many kinds of meditation. But if you, in a sort of brief way, you can distinguish them into two main kinds. And one is the what we call placement meditation, okay? And the other is analytic meditation. So placement meditation is what most people think about when they think about meditation. So it's very aptly named, right? It's called placement meditation. And by the way, our meditation on the breath that we did at the beginning of the session is a type of placement meditation, where we take our mind, we place it on one object, and we try to concentrate on that object without letting it wander off to another object, right? Okay. So now, if what you're telling me, Brinji, yeah, and yeah, all of us have this too, right? We give our mind a task. Okay, just count to 10 breaths, Namjong. But before we get to breath number 2, then we're already thinking about this or that. All these different appearances come to the mind. Okay, so what does this show, right? This shows that our minds are not subdued, right? So again, we have been habituated to, and especially in this modern day and age, we have so many distractions, especially, and by the way, this is why we should turn off our notifications on our phone. But, anytime we're trying to do something, we get the ding, a message comes, this notification comes, we have all of these things trying to steal and vie for our attention. And we're in such kind of reaction mode that our minds are, constantly, chasing after this or that, and we can never find stability or peace. Okay. So I will just talk. It's a good time to mention this now, but part of what we're trying to do with this placement meditation, and particularly the meditation on the breath, is we're trying to develop some level of concentration and focus. Okay. So one very helpful analogy that I actually, am borrowing from Mingyur Rinpoche is, okay, when we are meditating and we give our mind a task like focusing on the breath, okay? Now, it is just the nature of the mind that different appearances are going to come up. And they can be external, like sounds, or internal, like different thoughts, okay? So many times at the beginning, it's a very natural question. How can I get all of these thoughts to stop, right? But the point is, actually, Mingyur Rinpoche uses an analogy of a river, okay? So you imagine a river, right? It's flowing, okay? And maybe here, in the fall, we have the, the white water coming down from the Himalayas. It's quite a strong river. So most of the time with us, it's like we jump in the river and we get swept away, right? So we are constantly having these thoughts come up in the mind, and if we engage with them, we get carried away. We think about the person that said this to us, and then we think, oh, and then they did this last week, and then last month they did this, and then when I said this to them, and it gets a sort of momentum of its own, and we get carried away. Okay. So then the thought might be, oh, how do I get this to stop? So then this would be like, damming up the river, right? But as you know, when you dam up the river, I mean, this is how hydroelectric plants work, right? There's all that energy that is being dammed up. And, eventually it's going to come somewhere, right? So the third choice is, if we come up to the bank of the river, right, we can watch the river go by, right? And we're not getting swept away, nor are we damming it up or denying, but we're also not engaging. Do you understand? So the trick is here, and some of you, I don't know how many of you are in cities, but I noticed this here, up in Kopan. If you meditate at night, you might hear the crickets outside, right? So this kind of small noise, it doesn't necessarily disturb our meditation practice, right? Right? So why? Now, it could disturb our meditation practice, I mean, if it was our neighbor making noise or, or playing some loud music and we hear it, we would engage thinking, oh, why are they playing music at this hour? Oh, don't they know I'm meditating? Or, why are they talking so loud? Like this, right? So if we engage and start to tell a story, then it disturbs, right? But with the crickets, it's just like, okay, we hear a cricket, but we don't engage in a kind of story, right? We don't get swept away. And therefore, it doesn't disturb our peace. Do you understand?
Yeah, thank you.
So similarly, okay, then these thoughts to the mind, these thoughts that appear, they say we should think of it like, drawings on the surface of a pond, right? Where the very next second after you draw on the surface of a pond, the drawing, dissolves, right? So similarly, as long as we're not engaging in the thought, right, it will just disappear on its own. So what I like to say as a kind of, rule of thumb is, these first thoughts, no problem. We can't stop that right now. What we try to do is, not allow ourselves to have the second thought. Do you know what I mean? Don't chase after the thought. Don't engage. Okay. So one of the sort of tools or skills, we can say, that we're trying to cultivate with this basic counting the breaths practice, actually, I mean, it's really not about counting the breath, right? But rather, when other things appear to the mind, to engage in this what we call non-judgmental awareness, right? So we can be aware of a thought come up. We can be aware of a sound coming up. We can be aware of a pain in the knee or whatever it is, but we don't get carried away by the story behind it, And then when that happens, you see, those thoughts, they'll disappear on their own. You know what I mean? So it's not that we have to do something to get the thoughts to disappear. It's rather, once we stop engaging with the thoughts, they disappear on their own. And why do they disappear on their own?
Because you let them go.
Well, yeah, and the more fundamental, reason, which you'll hear again and again in Buddhism, is just impermanence, right? This is why, anicca, impermanence. Everything that arises will pass away, And the thing is, we don't have to do anything actually. That thought that comes up in the first moment, it's not going to be there in the second moment. Even if we follow that train of thought, it's not the exact same thought as the first moment. We replace that. The first moment disintegrates. We follow it up with the second moment, and we have the choice to either just let it pass away, or we sort of add fuel to the fire and continue on that train of thought. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So, yeah, thank you. Okay. So that is the placement meditation. Okay. Now, there's another type of meditation that is particularly emphasized in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, and that is what we call analytic meditation. Analytic meditation. Okay. So here, just to give a, When we were trying to focus on the breath, remember I was saying, okay, focus on the natural breath as it is. Okay. So it's not like pranayama, where in some pranayama techniques, we're trying to, hold the breath for a certain number of seconds, breathe in and out of a nostril, or try to contrive a certain type of breathing pattern. But here, we're just working with the natural breath as it is, right? Okay. So that's all fine and good. But when we start to think about those, positive, beneficial states like love, patience, compassion, and so forth, you see, since we have not familiarized ourselves, habituated ourselves with these virtuous states of mind to a large extent, we actually have to do something to evoke them, to call them up to the mind. Do you know what I mean? So just, remember I was saying how when someone criticizes us, we go through that type of kind of analytic meditation, actually, about all the reasons why we are justified to be angry at them and irritated. And then we arrive at that conclusion. Therefore, next time I see that person, I'm going to tell them off, right? So we use a quite similar process, but again, with virtuous states of mind. So rather than thinking about and ruminating over all the reasons why we're justified to be upset with this person, Well, let's replace it with thinking about all the reasons why this person is deserving of happiness, why we want them to be happy and safe and secure, why we want them to be free of suffering, and well, and especially why we have to sort of combine our meditation practice with some level of learning and kind of reflecting on the treatises that describe all these reasons why compassion is justified and loving kindness is justified for all living beings, then we develop these kind of reasoning, and that's what we call analysis, right? We think, we analyze, and we arrive at a certain virtuous conclusion, right? And here again, habituation. The more we do something, then the easier it becomes. So when we start to try to cultivate a habit of being loving and kind and compassionate, then it's going to get easier and easier to do the more we do it. Okay, so here the analytic meditation, in short, is to use a process of analysis, reasoning. Some of you, if you know the particular scriptural quotations, we can use that to arrive at a certain conclusion, right? And therefore, we're evoking a virtuous state of mind that might not otherwise just naturally come, right? Now, in practice, after we have evoked that virtuous mind, we do then switch back to a placement meditation. But here, rather than placing our mind on the breath, we place our mind on that conclusion, right? Like, may all beings be happy, the metta bhavana, the metta meditation, we conclude, may all beings be happy. And then we sort of let our mind really sink into that conclusion. So at that point, it becomes a placement meditation. We place our mind in that conclusion. Do you understand? Okay. So yeah, those are the two types of meditation in general. And yeah, in so doing, we are trying to enact a very deep and profound transformation within our minds to, again, build up these positive habits and unwind, decrease, and gradually abandon the negative habits of mind. Okay. All right. Okay.
Venerable,
So,
I have a question.
Yes.
So Mike,
I can't see you.
Can you see me, Nitesh?
Okay. Yeah. Hi. Yeah. I see you. Yeah. I was on the other screen. Yeah. Go ahead.
My question is that you said that we go back to the placement meditation after doing the analytical meditation to whatever conclusion that we reach. But is there a specific conclusion that we are talking about, or what if you're not able to reach a conclusion? Like the mind still doesn't have an answer for during the analytical. So let's say the loving kindness meditation, that the wish to be happy, and I'm not able to come to a reason that I want X and XYZ person to be happy. So what do I do at that point of time?
Right. Okay. So yes. So this is what I was saying. We study the treatises, the commentaries, so we can learn those various steps of reasoning, right? So it's not just I should mention this. in the Tibetan tradition especially, they talk about the three types of wisdom. There's the wisdom that arises from hearing or studying. There's the wisdom that arises from contemplation. And then there's the wisdom that arises from meditation. Okay. So actually, before we meditate, we need to do some study and sort of learn those, the sort of roadmap about the steps as to how to reach that certain conclusion, right? And then it'll become quite clear. So, you know, there'll be so many different of these analytic meditations actually. And, you know, there'll be one on, some of you, if you know the Lam Rim, the precious human rebirth, impermanence and death, karma, suffering of the lower realms, the faults of samsara. You know, there's so many. So for each particular one that we're trying to do, then we sort of have, and you'll see in the Lam Rim, there are these Lam Rim outlines, which actually give you like a very detailed sort of, okay, you first think about, you know, the certainty that you're going to die, right? And then, you know, that has 3 subpoints, and it becomes very like, very detailed. So before you sit down for the meditation session, you will have, you should have studied those points quite well, and then you'll know exactly what to do in the session. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions at this point? Okay. So now we're going to introduce another meditation practice. And what we're then going to do is, you know, do this for the next week. So you guys have homework. And this is what we were saying. It's important to get into a daily meditation practice. You know, if you think if just having a 2-hour lecture on Saturday is going to be enough for you to get to the goals you have for your meditation practice, then yeah, sorry to burst your bubble, but it doesn't really work that way. Okay. So I'm going to introduce our one more meditation style, one more meditation practice, and then you will then have been introduced to 3 over this session. And then over the next week, you'll be doing this on a daily basis and get some familiarity with it. Okay. So before we get into that, then I mentioned at the beginning that I would talk about the meditation posture in more detail later. So that time has come. Okay. So now we have, they call it the 7-point meditation posture. Okay. So again, the more you sort of are able to continue with the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, you'll notice that there's a lot of lists, and there's a lot of you know, outlines. So here we have one. Don't be sort of phased. It actually is a way to help us get into a proper meditation posture. So here, let's just start, and let's all just do it, right? So let's start with the from the bottom. Okay, we start from the legs, and here, those of you who know right? And I know there's some yogis amongst you, then of course the Vajra posture or the lotus position is the best, okay? So that I think most of you know, but you'll put your foot on the opposing thigh, right? Yeah, I think you all know the lotus posture, okay? So this position, however, if you haven't been practicing very well, or even if you have, it sometimes is quite difficult, especially as you get older or are unflexible. So the half lotus is where you just put one leg on the opposing thigh and you have the other one below, okay? But even if you can't do that, then just being cross-legged on the floor is also fine. And some of you might know, they call it the Burmese posture. So this, I'm wearing a skirt, so I can't really, show you. But here you would line up. Okay. So instead of being in the half lotus posture, right? You instead of putting the foot on the opposite thigh, you put that foot in front of the other leg. Do you understand? So your ankles are aligned. Do you understand? So your two ankles are in the center of your body, right? But both of your legs are fully on the floor. Do you understand? Okay. So they call this the Burmese position. I've heard other meditation teachers say this is the comfortable position. Okay. So the point is here, and especially those of you, if you have, I don't know, leg problems, what's nice about this one, sometimes in the half lotus posture or even the full lotus posture, since you're putting your foot on the opposing thigh, that pressure can then constrict the blood flow. And then sometimes I remember at the beginning, every time when I would get up from my meditation session, I'd have, pins and needles and the legs would be totally numb. Okay. So this posture is a good way to, sit for longer periods of time and that not happen. Okay. Now, there is also a meditation bench. I'm not sure if you have seen these in the Bangalore Center. We have a few. I think. But if you don't have one, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any of you have problems sitting, but you can maybe, just look online and look for the meditation bench. It's a little thing that you fold out and you sort of sit like this, with your legs behind you, but the meditation bench is supporting your buttocks. So it's actually quite comfortable thing to do. And then for those of you who also can't sit cross-legged and have not yet built or purchased your own meditation bench, you can sit on a chair. There's no problem. And when you sit on a chair, then please, come off the back of the chair. So you're not, using the backrest, but you're supporting your own weight with your own sort of effort, right? Okay. So yeah, that's that. Now, next we're moving up to the arms. So usually in the Buddhist tradition, you'll often see this it's called the Dharani mudra. So the left hand down first, the right hand on top of it, and the thumbs gently touching like this. You can have this in your lap. So usually I meditate in the half lotus posture, and it works out very well where I put that just on the heel, right? I put that on my heel, and then the hands are in the proper sort of position, which is just maybe 3-4 inches below the navel. Okay, and here you also want to make sure that the elbows, right? Okay, I'm gonna just kind of move this down, right? So elbows, right? You want it a little bit out, a little bit of space between your elbow and your body, right? So not too much out like a chicken, but not so tight in, but just kind of relaxed and loose. Can you see that? Okay. All right. All right. So then the next is your back. Okay, so we're continuing to move up. So I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but you know, usually it's good to place a cushion just under your buttocks, right? So that your tailbone is higher than your knees. Do you understand? So if you haven't done this yet, then you know you can try, and even just doing this, you know, it helps to align the body quite nicely, and yeah, you're able to sort of sit up more straight, and yeah, it's quite comfortable. So you can sort of experiment with how high that should be for you. I remember in that 1 month Vipassana retreat I mentioned at the beginning with Venerable Antonio. You know, he made an observation that, you know, at the beginning of the course, people just had like one cushion. And then as the course kind of went on, people started using like 2-3 cushions. And then the other thing people do, you know, if you're in the half lotus posture, sometimes it's helpful to put a like a small, maybe a rolled up towel under the knee that is sort of up, right? Because especially if you're sitting for a long period of time, then you know, you're putting a bit of stress on the hips. So anyway, like toward the end, it's like people just start using so many more cushions that you know, Venerable Antonio is like, now you all are sitting on meditation thrones. So anyway, it's okay. There's no shame. Just really, we're not trying to kind of torture ourselves. So please be comfortable. And it might take some time to figure out the right how do you say, number of cushions, placement of cushions, and so forth is, okay? All right. So here, the back, okay, you want it to be, you know, upright. So here, not so kind of straight like an arrow. You want to be sort of comfortable. We're always trying to get that balance between, you know, not being slouched over and not being so tense in our posture. So one thing they mention is like you can think of your spine like a stack of coins, right? And you know, you put a little bit of energy at the beginning to get into the right posture, and then you just kind of set it and leave it. For us beginners, however, you know, even when you get into the good sort of upright posture, then over the course of the meditation session, you know, we sort of start to hunch over. So just from time to time, you can ask yourself, has my posture degenerated over the session? And, you know, then if so, then just gradually, you know, come back up, right? All right. So next, we have the eyes. And different meditation teachers say different things, but generally for beginners, it is easier to concentrate when our eyes are closed. However, it is also easier to fall asleep. So if you notice in some depictions of the Buddha, it's like the Buddha's eyes are half open. So some teachers recommend, especially for as we get a little bit more familiar, to just have the eyes slightly open, enough to allow some light to enter, but not sort of wide open that we can get distracted by objects in our field of vision. And if our eyes are slightly open, we want to sort of look down in the space in front of us, just kind of, you know, not focusing on the ground, but just with very relaxed eyes, focusing on the space. Okay. And then the mouth, it should be closed, but the teeth not clenched. Okay, right? Understand? So closed, but relaxed in the jaw. And then we put our tongue up on the palate, the roof of the mouth, behind the upper teeth. And what I have heard is, you know, you can just, when you do that, you create a little bit of a suction so that there's no air, you know? You understand? Okay. And this way of doing it, it helps combat excessive saliva forming. Okay. And then the last point is the head. So here, it's like you tuck your chin just slightly in like this, and you feel some elongation here in the back. You know, you feel that? You feel some elongation in the back of the neck here. Okay, but it's not like looking down like this. It's you know that move. Okay, did you see? All right. So that is the 7-point meditation posture. You understand? Okay. So you'll get this in a handout, I believe, in the WhatsApp group. So yeah, no problem. Okay. And so next we will have the next meditation. So okay. So this next meditation is this bare awareness meditation, bare attention exercise. So this is, we're now going to be putting into practice that analogy of the river, right? Where we're actively trying to work on not engaging with these other appearances to the mind. Okay? So let's get into the meditation, posture that we just talked about. And yeah, then again, we can just in a brief way set a positive motivation. Again, thinking that we're not just meditating for our own benefit, but rather we're trying to build these inner qualities of our mind so that we can be of more benefit for all the living beings. Okay, and then just take a moment to make sure that we're in the proper meditation posture. Just do a very quick scan of the body, trying to identify any points of tension. Relax especially the facial muscles, the muscles around the eyes, the muscles around the lips and mouth. And so now we'll continue with what we were doing before with the breathing meditation. So here, again, working with the natural breath as it is. And here, let's try to place our mind's awareness at the place around the nostril area. And as we breathe in and out, pay attention to the sensations associated with the breath as we inhale and exhale. So we might feel the sensation of the air passing over the skin. It might feel cool. It might feel tingly. So here it's just like we're a sentry or a watchman, and we just observe. We observe the coming and going of the breath. Now, sometimes for beginners, we can also think, mentally just note inhale and exhale, or out and in. But if you have some familiarity with this practice already, you can just, not use those words to comment, but just be aware of the sensations nakedly. So now as we continue with this, we use the breath as our sort of anchor, as our home. But as we try to remain focused on the breath, then yes, it's completely natural that other appearances come to the mind. So when these thoughts come, or maybe there's different sensations that come in other parts of the body, maybe we hear sounds, then just try to remember our analogy of watching the river go by. We can be aware of a thought, and we can even just label it thought. If we have a pain, we can label it pain. But don't get carried away with further commentary. Just notice what's happening in our bodies and in our minds. And of course, if there are none of these other appearances, then just remain focused on the breath. Okay, so gently come out of the meditation. All right. So, are there any questions at this point? Were you able to understand what we're trying to develop here in that bare attention meditation? Wow, you're all experts already. Okay. So I guess I'll, before we close, I'll open it up to any other more general questions. Are there? Yes, Varsha.
It's the eternal thing of how to carry over the calm into real life.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll talk more about this over the next 5 weeks, but I mean, this is the main kind of question, right? So we call it practicing meditation. We practice for the sort of the real challenges, yeah, to bring it into daily life. But as we were talking about meditation being a habituation or familiarization practice, you see, one thing that we're doing just with this sort of bare attention exercise is we're developing what I referred to before as this non-judgmental awareness, where we notice something arise in the mind, but we don't engage with it. We don't act on it. Okay. So even just a very basic example, when we are sitting in meditation posture, okay, we might notice that we have an itching sensation on the face. Yeah. Okay. Now, our normal sort of reaction is not being mindful, but just we have an itch, we scratch, right? So here, one thing we can do in this bare attention meditation, okay, we focus on the breath where there's an itch. So we just observe, okay, there's an itch on my face. Okay. And then it's as if we are now using that as our object of meditation. Whatever is the sort of strongest thing that's in our field of awareness, we just focus on that. We watch it, we observe it, but we don't instinctively then just scratch the itch. Okay. So by building up this sort of skill, okay, now what happens in real life? Someone criticizes us, okay? And if you're, I don't know how it manifests in your body, but when I get criticized, I might get some feeling of heat in the back of the neck, right? So everything is going to have a reaction first on our physical level. And then it's as if we have aversion then for that feeling of heat. We then think that, oh, if I criticize this person back, I'll teach them a lesson and they won't do that to me anymore. So then we're in reaction, right? So it's a very simple, the same thing that happens. There's an itch, we scratch, not thinking, not deliberate, just reactive. Then when we get criticized, it's like that, we criticize back. So by developing this kind of, we're aware of what happens. We're aware of how we react to things in our daily life, but we don't have to instinctively, react to it, right? And then it can be just like the crickets outside, right? It doesn't disturb our peace. Someone, whatever they say to us, it's like, okay, it's just noise, right? It's just like the cricket. Oh, there's this kind of feeling in the body of agitation. Okay, but I know I don't have to act out of that and then criticize this person back, you know? So of course, it's a very, you know, maybe very long way from here, but I want to just introduce right now how what we're doing on this cushion is practice for that. So of course, with anything that we're trying to do, we, you know, we don't start off by trying to lift 200 kilos or, you know, trying to run a marathon. We start very small. So even these small things that we can do in our meditation session, okay, there's an itch, and then rather than immediately scratching, I observe it, I don't react. And this doesn't mean then to torture ourselves, right? So it could even be after a while, if it's still very itchy, we do scratch it, but we do it mindfully. You know, we observe it for a while, and then we say, okay, now it's time to scratch. And actually at the Thai monastery that I was staying at, as they were teaching Vipassana, then it's like, okay, I have an impulse to scratch my face. Okay, but I'm going to do it deliberately. Okay, now I'm lifting my right hand. I'm bringing it to my face, scratch. And now I'm returning my right hand to my lap. You know, it sounds a bit, I don't know if it sounds silly, but, you know, we're trying to go from our normal habit of just being reactive to everything that happens to us to be, you know, mindful, deliberate, you know, so that we can, you know, sort of retake control.
Right. That's a nice exercise to label it as you react.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Brinji.
Do you have a routine for us for the next week?
I do, and I'm about to mention. Okay. So are there any more questions?
No, thank you. Thank you. That was a nice explanation.
Okay. All right. So, your homework. Okay. So now we are going to be giving a few handouts for you. And so now your homework for the next week is to do either this bare attention meditation or the counting the breath meditation for at least 10 minutes a day for the next week. Okay. And then, you know, if you have any sort of questions or things that come up during the meditation that you want to discuss or get some clarity on, then please bring those questions to next week's session. Okay. So some of you who did the 15-day meditation challenge when we were doing half an hour a day, right? Then you're like, oh, what? Now only 10 minutes? Okay, so no problem. As I mentioned, you know, I think it was the first in the meditation challenge where I gave you guys the hint that you can use the YouTube, you know, 2-time playback speed if half an hour is too much, right? So the point is with a habit that we're trying to do, we start slow and we try to, you know, end our meditation session while it's still going well. So actually, I like to introduce people to 10 minutes, start with 10 minutes and then gradually build up to, you know, 15, 20 like that, rather than trying to, you know, do too much at once. But of course, if you're already more established in your meditation practice, you can do more. Don't just think, okay, 10 minutes and yeah, that's it. You could maybe do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. So that's up to you. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's it. We will hand out these files to you on the PDF, I believe. the PDF files on the WhatsApp group. And if you're not yet on that, then yeah, please sign up. I think it's cksl.in/meditate. Okay. And so here we have come to the end of our session. So just as at the beginning of the session, we tried to generate a positive motivation. Here, let's dedicate the merit, the positive energy that we've created in our time together, that all the beings, you know, not only human beings, but all the living beings in the whole universe quickly attain the state of lasting peace and happiness that is totally free from suffering. And all of us who are, you know, now engaging in the course, may we, and actually all the other practitioners who are trying to, you know, better themselves, develop their inner qualities, have all of the conducive conditions and have no obstacles to their practice, and have the utmost success in this very lifetime, means to achieve liberation and enlightenment. Okay, so let's maybe leave it at that for now. I am sensitive of the time. It's a 2-hour session on a Zoom call. I know it's quite long. So thank you for all of your efforts. And, you know, I think if you have questions that come up during the week, you can maybe submit them to the WhatsApp group or the info@cksl.in for questions, and they will be forwarded to me. Okay, thank you very much. And we'll see you next week. Namaste. Be well, be happy.
Thank you. That was fantastic.